illicit substances which are available on our Canadian streets of the Peel region, streets of the Canada. How the Kamini tablets or Kamini bottles entered Canada. We will see on the label it says not authorized to sell out of the country. These are the Indian-made products. Our youth are getting addictive by these tablets. They take it as a fun.
This is raw opium.
Opioid, fentanyl, opium, afim, they are selling openly onto the Canadian streets in the Canadian markets. We will go inside some of the outlets, what they are doing, what kind of business they are operating. Let's talk about the illicit substances which are available on our Canadian streets of the Peel region, streets of the Canada. So Kamini tablets, these are the bottles, these have the tablets. So first question lies, how the Kamini tablets or Kamini bottles entered Canada. We will see on the label it says not authorized to sell out of the country. These are the Indian-made products, but question is how these tablets or these bottles entered Canada. We will show on the screen the label on the bottle says not authorized to sell out of jurisdiction, out of India country, but it is available on the Canadian streets. Retailers are selling it openly. Second question lies that how it entered Canada. Kamini tablets in 2015, the Peel Regional Police made a report that these tablets contain opium. It was published in the newspapers that as per the Peel Regional Police, they found opium inside the Kamini tablets. Kamini tablets are there for the muscle relaxation, but it contains opium, morphine, codeine. These kind of chemicals are there, the presence is there in the Kamini tablets. So big questions to our border agents, how these bottles entered Canada, how they are selling. After 10 years of that report, in 2015 when Peel Regional Police made it public that Kamini tablets contain opium, and we are in 2025-26, but still these bottles, these tablets are easily available by the retailers. They are selling it. They are selling it from $120 to $170. It has quite number of pills inside. They are selling these tablets individually also $5 per pill. But main question is, our youth are getting addictive by these tablets. They take it as a fun. They take it as a relaxation. The construction industry people, the trucking industry people, many of them, they consume it. South Asian people, they consume it and they become addictive. And the cause is the many families, they get disturbed, they get rotten with this. The many families got affected by this drug. When these tablets, we don't know how much quantity of morphine, codeine or opium is present, but this is a illicit substance and big question mark that how they are selling on Canadian streets. We tried to ask the police also about this, that when 2015, it's almost 10-11 years now, when that report was published that Kamini tablets contain opium, how after 10-11 years these are still in the market and retailers are selling it openly under the table to the people, and addictive people, they reach to those retailers to buy that. Let's see the report. Illicit drugs which contains morphine, codeine and opium, they are selling openly here in the Peel region and across Canada. And as per our resources, our investigation, we found that those drugs are coming from overseas in the grocery containers, and retailers are selling it. In 2015, Peel Police reported that those tablets contain opium. Still, after 10 years, those are selling in the region, in the country. And is that something that is on the police radar, that retailers are selling openly? Because addiction level is very high, and we have reports of that, we have proofs of that. So is that something that is on the police radar?
So this is a very sort of a complicated set of patterns to explain. Yes, we know that opioids have been imported, but the more recent, in the last 5-10 years, has been the advent of synthetic opioids, which we know can either, some elements can come from overseas, but some can be generated right here in North American soil. And so that has been the focus, and as you would duly note, from not just the federal level, but in our U.S. counterparts, and even from the province, to ensure that we find ways to prevent either the production, the importation, or the transfer of these drugs in and across our borders. So yes, you know, it's an ecosystem. There are national initiatives to prevent the flow or the advent of the manufacturing of synthetic opioids here. But, you know, here we're a municipal police agency. We have localized efforts to stop the open, or as you call it, open trafficking of it. And this is a perfect example of it. But we are deeply connected with provincial initiatives, at federal initiatives. We have Peel police officers embedded at every level. And it's not unique to us. All the large major urban police agencies are doing the same. I can tell you that we've probably never seen a stronger network of response from law enforcement, government-related agencies, and resourcing than we have now. I think people have responded to it quite appropriately, and this is part of the ecosystem, right? We're seeing street-level activity being stopped, but we're doing it at every other level.
Chief, there are many of the such kind of incidents happening in Peel region, and many people, when we talk to them, they don't come forward to report it. And when we talk to them, they said, we have a concern of our safety, the family's safety. And the incidents are there. What message you want to give to those families, those who don't come forward to report the incidents because of the public safety issue, because of their family safety? And also, we would like to applaud the 21 Division, Officer Changers, Officer Nagra, and the team for great work.
Yeah, thank you, Nitin. First of all, we understand people's apprehension of coming forward, because there's always a question of, is this going to put myself at risk, or is it going to create a worse environment for me? But when we think about what they're actually doing, is they're contributing to our ability to stop the substantive problem. And so the simple question is, the simple statement is, yes, we want people to come forward. I can assure them that we have multiple mechanisms to protect the information that comes to them. People can do it anonymously, online, they can call, they can even engage officers in the community. And we go to great extents to protect the integrity of that. Our court system has gone as far as ensuring that certain vehicles of providing information to us are protected in court. So there are lots of checks and balances in that space. I think what the community needs to know, whether it be community-based problems, you and I have chatted about extortions, we need people to come forward. We can assure you that here in Peel region, we are strongly equipped to respond and mitigate and stop these issues, but we can't do it unless we have the information. So there's another part to it, is the engagement that Sergeant Levine has been talking about, is we have the ability to provide confidence to people. If they want to talk to us first about it, we can press into that space and make sure that they're assured that we will act on the information, but also look after the people coming.
So fentanyl, what is fentanyl? Fentanyl is a highly potent synthetic opioid. It is 30 to 50 times more potent than heroin and 100 times more potent than morphine. A few grains of fentanyl is enough to kill you. Fentanyl enters the Canadian illegal drug market in 3 ways. Number 1, illegal imports from other countries. Number 2, product from illegal labs inside the Canada. Number 3, theft of medical fentanyl products, mainly skin patches. So fentanyl है कि fentanyl एक highly ਜਿਹੜੀ potent synthetic opioid है, 30 ਤੋਂ 50% ज़्यादा पोटेंट है हीरोइन तो, और 100% मोर पोटेंट है मॉर्फिन तो। फ्यू ग्रेन्स ऑफ जी फैंटनाइल है वो गुड इनफ है किसी की भी जान लैन ली, और देखा गया है कि ओवरडोज जी एडल्ट्स है या बच्चे है ओवरडोज के काफ़ी शिकार हुए है। ड्रग का बहुत बड़ा इशू है। सो फैंटनाइल कैनेडियन मार्केट च किद्दां एंटर करती है 3 वेज़ नाल। एक तो इलीगल इंपोर्ट होंदा है दूजियां कंट्रीज़ तो, विद इन कैनेडा लैब्स हैगियां जिथे फैंटनाइल बनदी है। तीजा जिहड़ा है थैफ्ट मैडिकल जी फैंटनाइल प्रोडक्ट्स है, मैडिकल फैंटनाइल प्रोडक्ट्स उहदी चोरी होंदी है जिद्दां स्किन पैचेस।
I'm Sergeant Carlo. I work at 22 Division, Toronto Police Service. So when we talk about data, we are specifically talking about data which is overdosing deaths. So across Canada, and this is from 2020, the data from 20, 200 deaths per day across Canada. And then we come down to Ontario. Ontario, the data is per day deaths were around 126 in 2018. And per day, it was 4 deaths. Moving on, as of 2020, it almost doubled. It is basically 220 deaths per day per month and 7 deaths per day. And all this data is available in public forum. As far as talking about why it is happening, so there are a couple of things which happened in the last couple of years. There's a drug which is called fentanyl. It has been part of opioids. It's mixed in small doses. It is in the opioid family that has been introduced on the streets. So basically all these drug dealers are mixing it into everything. Why? Because the cost is low. It has got no smell. It's got no taste. It's highly addictive and cheap. So they mix it into different drugs. People think that they're consuming a certain kind of drug and they're addicted to one, not knowing that this particular drug is being mixed into everything. And this one is so potent, so intoxicant that it overdoses people without realizing. A small percentage of it could basically cause death to you. So that's why it's a opioid crisis. It is basically a crisis in which the overdose deaths have gone through the roof.
Are we wrong if we say that illicit substances, illegal drugs like opioid, fentanyl, opium, afim, they are selling openly onto the Canadian streets and the Canadian markets? ਕੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਗਲਤ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ ਅਗਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਆ ਕਹੀਏ ਕਿ illicit substance ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ banned ਹੈ, ਕੁਝ drugs ਹੈ illegal drugs, ਉਹ Canadian streets ਤੇ Canadian markets ਤੇ openly outlets 'ਚ ਵਿਕ ਰਹੀ हैं? So we will go undercover and we will do the fact checks. We will go inside some of the outlets, what they are doing, what kind of business they are operating, and how they are selling such substances which are illicit substances. So ਅਸੀਂ as a undercover ਜਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਕੁਝ outlets ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ illicit substances ਵਿਕ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ। ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ labs 'ਚ testing ਲਈ ਵੀ ਭੇਜਾਂਗੇ। We will send those samples to the lab for the testing. So let's go inside as an undercover to find out the fact checks, to do the fact checks, what kind of substances they are selling, and is it allowed by the government? Does police knows about it? So let's go inside.
ਡੱਬੀ ਦਿਓ ਜੀ ਹਾਜਮੁਲੇ ਦੀ ਡੱਬੀ, ਕਾਮੜੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਡੱਬੀ।
हाजमोले दे दो उस्ताद जी, दो हाजमोले कार्ड नाल कर दे। हाँ गोलियां।
So these are the pills. They are selling it illegally and separate pills. One pill they are selling it for $5, 2 pills selling for $10. So ਆ ਵੀ pills ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਸ਼ੀਸ਼ੀ ਦੇ ਬਿਨਾ ਓਪਨ ਵੇਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ। ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਿਲ ਹੈ ਉਹ $5 ਦੀ, 2 pills ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਉਹ $10 ਦੀਆਂ ਵੇਚ ਰਹੇ ਪਾਨ ਸ਼ਾਪ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣੀ ਪਾਨ ਸ਼ਾਪ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਬਾਏ ਕਰਕੇ ਲਿਆਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਨਾਓ ਵੀ ਵਿਲ ਸੈਂਡ these pills and this opium we will send to the lab for testing, and we will see what the result comes out from it. ਸੋ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬੋਟਲ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਾਨ ਸ਼ਾਪ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਈ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਡਿਸਕਲੇਮਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਇਆ ਕਿ ਪਾਨ ਸ਼ਾਪ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਈ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਕੰਪਲੇਂਟ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਆ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ ਡਰਗ, ਇਹਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੈ ਕਾਮਨੀ, ਔਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਖੋਲ ਕੇ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਲੈਬ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਭੇਜਾਂਗੇ, ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ ਇਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕੈਮੀਕਲਸ ਐਡ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਦਿਸ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ ਡਰਗ, this we have purchased from a pawn shop. So across Canada, most of the pawn shops are selling these drugs. These are made in India, Ayurvedic drugs. So we will send this sample to the medical lab to check what kind of ingredients are there inside this bottle. So if I open this prescription, this is called Multani Kamni Ras. So this is, if I show to the camera, it says caution to be taken under medical supervision, and this product is for sale in India only. This product is for sale in India only. This product is for sale in India only. So question is, when this product is only for Indian market, how come this is selling in Canada openly by most of the pawn shops? We went inside the pawn shop, we bought it, and we have a receipt from our Visa card, like we purchased it for $135. Many pawn shops are selling it for $170. They are selling these tablets in single pieces also, $5 one or $10 two. But this bottle cost, if we buy these, there are approximately 30 to 40 tablets inside. They are selling it for $135 to $170. What are the ingredients in it? We don't know. But we will try to send this bottle to the lab to get the results of the ingredient inside. If I open this bottle, I'll show you what kind of tablets they have inside. So these are the round pills. These are the round pills. See, round pills. So what are inside these pills? Are there drugs inside this? How come these are selling in Canadian market openly by the most of the pawn shops? And youth, the people in construction industry, the people in trucking industry, they are consuming it, and they are reporting to us that this is a harmful pills. Don't consume it. And when the bottle says that you cannot sell these drugs without the prescription of a medical practitioner, how come these shops are selling it illegally? And question lies to our administration, how they allow it to sell, and our enforcement department, why they are missing, why they are not catching these shops owners, those who are selling it openly. So we will go inside another shop, we will try to find out what kind of they are selling it openly. They are selling it as a labeled, which is not allowed. Because if there is a fentanyl, what is fentanyl? We will talk to the police officer, we will talk to the lab experts also, and some experts also we will discuss. So ਅਸੀਂ ਸ਼ਾਪ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਆ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਬਾਏ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, ਔਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਦੀ ਰਸੀਦ ਵੀ ਦਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਆ $135 ਦੀ ਬਾਏ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਖੁੱਲੀ ਗੋਲੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਉਹ $5 ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਗੋਲੀ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ, $10 ਦੀਆਂ ਦੋ। ਔਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜੋ ਕੰਪਲੇਂਟਸ ਆਈਆਂ ਉਹ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਤੋਂ, ਕੰਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਤੋਂ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੰਜ਼ਿਊਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ 'ਚ ਓਪਨਲੀ ਆ ਡਰਗ ਮਿਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਵਿਚ ਇਜ਼ ਕਾਲਡ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ drug, Ayurvedic medicine called Multani company, made in India. And the prescription inside the label, it says, ਅੰਦਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲੇਬਲ ਹੈ ਬੋਟਲ ਦੇ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਸਾਫ਼-ਸਾਫ਼ ਕਿ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਯੁਰਵੈਦਿਕ ਮੈਡੀਸਿਨ ਹੈ ਆ ਸਿਰਫ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਹੈ, ਆ ਇੰਪੋਰਟ ਜਾਂ ਐਕਸਪੋਰਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ, ਐਕਸਪੋਰਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ। ਸੋ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ 'ਚ ਓਪਨਲੀ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਵਿਕ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਮੋਸਟ ਆਫ ਦਾ ਪਾਨ ਸ਼ਾਪਸ ਉਹ ਟੈਬਲੇਟਸ ਪਿਲਸ ਵੀ ਵੇਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ, ਓਪਨ ਅਫੀਮ ਵੀ ਵੇਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਉਹ ਫੈਂਟਨਾਈਲ ਵੀ ਵੇਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੰਡਰ ਕਵਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਦੇਖਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਆ ਸਾਰਾ ਆਪਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ।
This is raw opium.
ਸੋ ਦਿਸ ਇਜ਼ raw opium। ਅਫੀਮ ਹੈ, raw ਅਫੀਮ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣੀ ਸ਼ਾਪ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਖਰੀਦ ਕੇ ਲਿਆਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਦਿਸ ਇਜ਼ ਦ raw opium which we just now we bought from inside the pawn shop and they are selling it openly illegally। openly market ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਓਪੀਅਮ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਫੀਮ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਫੈਂਟਨਲ ਵਿਕ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਡੀਲਰਸ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਵੇਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੰਪਲੇਂਟਸ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਟਰੱਕਿੰਗ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ 'ਚ ਕੰਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ 'ਚ ਕੰਜ਼ਿਊਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਉਹ ਵਿਕਟਿਮਸ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਓਪਨਲੀ ਵਿਕ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਇਹਦੇ 'ਤੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਆ ਵਰਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਸਾਡੀ ਲਾਅ ਇਨਫੋਰਸਮੈਂਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ, ਸਾਡੀ ਐਡਮਿਨਿਸਟ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਨਜ਼ਰਅੰਦਾਜ਼ ਕੀਤੇ ਹੋਏ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਵੀ ਹੈਵ ਅ ਸੀਰੀਅਸ ਇਸ਼ੂ, ਸੀਰੀਅਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੇਅਰ। Fentanyl, opium, which is called afim also. So fentanyl and opium are selling on the streets, on Canadian markets. Most of the pawn shops here in Canada, we are here in Ontario, but it's not the Ontario problem, it's a Canada-wide problem that opium and fentanyl are selling on the streets, on the Canadian streets. And there are many dealers, they are selling it openly. We will go undercover to some of the pawn shops and see what they are selling. So what we saw in the previous report also, ਅਸੀਂ our shops ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਗਏ, so we went inside the pawn shops. How come here in Canada these drugs are selling openly on the streets? So let's go as an undercover inside some of the pawn shop and see what they are selling.
There have been illicit drugs selling everywhere in the vicinity. A lot of people are dying. Almost 200 people are dying on Ontario every day. They're selling the drugs openly, without any fear. जी बढ़िया बढ़िया नहीं दो. So these are the two companies. We bought it for like $5 a piece. This is like pure opium, opioids in it, and plus fentanyl and I don't know what other shit.
So this has opioid inside?
Yep. So you gotta test it from any laboratory, you'll get to know.
So what is the cost you said?
$5 a piece.
How many people consume it in South Asian community?
A lot of people.
And data, how many people die every day in Canada?
Almost 210.
So we talked to the Attorney General of Ontario also. So he made a statement that there is a directive from the federal government to the prosecutors that don't worry and you don't need to prosecute certain kind of drug activities. So our question is what kind of those activities are. So let's see what Attorney General of Ontario has to say on the drug activities and what message the federal government has given to the prosecutors. So ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ Attorney General Ontario ਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਟੇਟਮੈਂਟ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੀਕਿਊਟਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟਿਵਸ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਰਟਨ ਕਾਈਂਡ ਆਫ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਡਰਗ ਐਕਟੀਵਿਟੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੀਕਿਊਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ। ਸੋ ਸਾਡਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਔਰ ਕਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਡਰਗ ਐਕਟੀਵਿਟੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੀਕਿਊਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੀਕਿਊਟਰਸ ਨੇ। So let's see a statement from the Attorney General of Ontario.
The second piece is the federal government has sent the federal government has sent a directive to prosecutors not to prosecute certain types of drug activity, and the federal government does the drug prosecution. So when they sent that out to their prosecutors and said don't prosecute these types of drug crimes, that sends a message to the police: don't bother arresting them because they're not going to go anywhere. And that has to change. We've asked the federal government to change that. And you mentioned Bill C-75. We have asked several times, along with our counterparts in other jurisdictions, Alberta and Saskatchewan and Manitoba and others, to say, why did you entrench a Supreme Court decision and take it even further in Bill C-75? and we've asked them to reverse that. We haven't seen any progress in that regard. And the response is generally, well, we just codified what was already the law under the Supreme Court, and we disagree. We think that they can be more proactive than that. And so those pieces have to move. At the same time, as you well know, the Premier and our government have been very supportive of giving the police the tools they have, expanding boots on the ground, and making sure that we have the resources there to do the job. But we are literally a little handcuffed on some of these pieces.
Attorney General made a statement that federal government has sent directives to the prosecutors not to prosecute certain kind of drug activity. What are those kind of drug activities on which prosecutors are not prosecuting them? So if we are not tough on crime, what can we do? Because shootings, home invasions are going on. We will keep on catching them. What next? And what message police and cities get from that statement not to prosecute certain type of drug activities?
So I'm not aware of that directive. I certainly believe that any criminal code offenses should be prosecuted. I have spoken out against the fact that property crimes don't have the same significance as other crimes. And from the gold heist to auto thefts, we saw that loophole being taken advantage of by organized crime. But in terms of any directive not to prosecute drug crimes, that's not something I'm aware of. And I'm looking to the Deputy Chief. He's not aware of it either.
Now we will talk to the Peel Regional Police, Deputy Chief Nick Milinovich. So what kind of message does police get from Attorney General's message or from the federal government message? Do they have such kind of messages that if federal government has sent a message to prosecutor not to prosecute certain kind of drug activities, what are those kind of activities? Let's talk to Deputy Chief Nick Milinovich on illicit substances or illegal drug here in the Peel region or here in Canada. Let's talk to the Deputy Chief. We want to talk about the illicit substances or illegal drugs selling in the Peel region. Mm-hmm. What police knows about this?
Yeah, Peel region, much like many other regions or jurisdiction here in the GTA and Canada, definitely looks at the illegal trafficking of drugs as an issue. It preys upon people who have addictions issues, certainly results in escalating levels of crime and violence in our community. So it's definitely something that we're deeply invested in responding to. So we got many information tips from the community that there are outlets, they are selling it openly also on the streets of Peel region or the roads of Ontario's. The illicit substances like opioid, opium, fentanyl, these are selling through the retailers and by the street vendors also. Mm-hmm. So how police is tackling, what data if you have, can you share something? Yeah, again, the way we're approaching that issue is really multifaceted. There's a number of different streams and a variety of reasons why it occurs. What I can tell you is one of the things that Peel does and does incredibly well is enforcement. Last year, we seized and recovered more illegal substances than we ever have. And, that's one of our approaches. We're going to continue with the enforcement. We're going to continue to make sure that people that profit from, that type of illegal crime are held accountable for that. So that's one piece. And then, of course, the other things that we're doing are some of the advocacy on legislation, working with our partners in other jurisdictions, those types of things. But, the illegal drug trafficking as a concern for our community certainly isn't lost on us. And we're going to continue to invest in that and do what police should do, which is make sure that it's as uncomfortable as possible for people to benefit from it.
Is fentanyl an issue on our streets?
Oh yeah, fentanyl is an issue on our streets, definitely. It's such a potent, highly lethal substance. It's something that brings us a lot of concern. But the reality is the majority of drug traffickers are really poly drug traffickers. Mm-hmm. And by that I mean they're selling whatever it is that brings a high level of profit, and they're happy to sell whatever drug that may be. So, quite often we see people that are involved in cocaine trafficking, fentanyl trafficking, methamphetamine trafficking, all those types of things.
So there are many retail outlets, they are selling it openly, hiddenly. So why law enforcement is not catching them or putting them behind the...
We do. Yeah, like once, and again, I would encourage the community, if you're aware of that, please call. Let us know. And if you feel as though you need to be anonymous, what I would suggest is call Crime Stoppers, and we're happy to investigate those. So we quite regularly investigate those types of complaints. And in reality, we've started a number of large-scale and concluded a number of large-scale investigations that really started with that type of drug trafficking.
Mm-hmm. Ontario's Attorney General, he made a statement that federal government sent a directive to the prosecutors not to prosecute certain type of drug activities. And he also mentioned that police gets a message out of it that don't charge certain kind of drug activities. What are those kind of drug activities where police is not charging these peddlers?
I suspect they're talking more specifically about lesser offenses within the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, like possession, those types of things. But, the reality is, as a police organization, we enforce the criminal code. And that's something that we're going to continue to do. Of course, our resources are limited, so we focus naturally on the more serious crimes like drug trafficking, importation, exportation, that type of thing. So we're going to continue to do that. That's not to say that I don't welcome, a harsher, more strict approach to drug possession, generally speaking.
So as a registered social worker having 25-year experience in substance use and mental health issues, nowadays we are seeing crisis of opioid overdose, specifically fentanyl and other illicit drugs. The availability of drug in the market, illegal market, youth, they are pretty much attracted and suffered from these complex issues. Where I'm finding the lack of accessibility in the healthcare system, and also there's a complex legal system when they are going through the legal issues. Sometimes this may barrier for their treatment, and also lack of awareness and stigmatization of youth in specifically drug-related issues and drug-related behavior, and increase in crime also impacted the community very worse. And it also, this crisis also impacted the mental health issue of the youth. So it's a quite concerning. So I think as a social worker, public representative, I would like to address these issues to increase the public awareness, and also I would suggest a collaborative approach from the legal system, from the politician, as well as from the healthcare services. During my practice, I have seen cases like where people, they are using illegal drugs like fentanyl, other opioids like opium is presently available in the market. Most of the time, illegal drugs, the chemicals laced, that impacted their mental health adversely, and also they are facing the chronic physical health issue as well. So it's kind of concerning, like when they involve themselves into drug trafficking, and also they derail from their life, from the goals, and also it impacted adversely their overall family life, social life, and this adversely impact the communities. For the law enforcement purposes, if the drug trafficking it should be dealt very strictly, and also sometimes when they are on bail, so it should be a kind of proper monitoring, and it's not only their own behavioral and personal issue, it might be a risk for communities as well. A part of that, the consumer, who consume drugs, it should be like both approach. It's a supportive approach, involving themselves into treatment piece and encouraging them to be on a right path. Both approaches will work in their recovery piece.
Premier, the government data suggests that there is 200 plus deaths per day by the use of illegal substances, including opium, fentanyl, opioid here in Ontario. That data is on the government website. So for last years, whatever government step has taken to reduce this, because we have seen lot of shootouts, lot of parents, they lost their kids inside the home shootings. What are the steps government has taken into stopping these fentanyl, and it is selling openly here in the market?
Yeah, well, one big problem is something called safe supply under the federal government, There's been many stories in the media about this, that drug users will go in, get their supply of whatever, free supply, and then go out and sell it back on the streets. This is the most crazy program I've ever heard in my life. It's like giving an alcoholic a free pass to the LCBO. No, these people need help, and that's why we have heart hubs that we're putting right across the entire province, spending over $550 million to help people get off drugs, get back on their feet, find a job, find a place to live. And we want to arrest the people, these drug dealers, and keep them in jail. But guess what happens? They go to court, and the judges slap them on the wrist, let them out the next day just to go back and do the exact same thing. You know, we're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at fighting crime. We need the federal government to do the same thing. We need mandatory sentencing, that if someone commits a heinous crime, I'm not talking about stealing a chocolate bar, I'm talking about drugs and heinous crimes, they need to stay in jail.
That so many deaths or shootouts are happening in the Peel region also, and the government data says that 200 plus deaths per day by the use of illegal substance, opioid, opium, fentanyl. So how police is tackling that?
The fentanyl issue is a real serious one. It's obviously affecting communities east to west coast. So our efforts have been very focused on the enforcement, obviously at the street level, at the organized crime level. We operate a lot of joint forces operations. We know that the precursors and substances that go into fentanyl or opioids originate from outside of our country. They come in through our borders. And so the vulnerability we're seeing on the streets is not just about the enforcement of the criminals that are either involved with firearms, drug trafficking, but also getting upstream to prevent it coming into the country. So our efforts at a provincial and national level have been to make sure we invest in all those spaces, and also encouraging, we see a lot in the US criticism about the Canadian border, but a lot of what comes into our country comes from South America through the US into here. Peel, we have a logistics industry that is the largest in Canada. We see the logistics system being exploited. We see young people being involved in it. So our efforts have been to enforce, lobby, and advocate for strengthening everything.
So at government levels, what needs to be done to stop this mess because parents are losing their kids?
Yes, so I've had conversations with the commissioner of Kevin Brasseau, the fentanyl czar. We're discussing what needs to happen at the federal and provincial level to enhance it. We have submitted some recommendations on behalf of the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police to the federal government, Minister McGuinty, who's a public safety, as well as the federal attorney general, on opportunities to strengthen it. And there are multifaceted recommendations. We are hopeful that the federal government will make some of these changes.
The cartels are flying fentanyl precursors to Canada, and especially in the Vancouver. There they are manufacturing it and then distributing across the globe, including USA. This is a statement made by FBI director. And also the India says that our most wanted, many of them, they are here in Canada. And what is CBSA? Because when these questions were put in front of the immigration minister, they said it's all up to the CBSA. What CBSA has to say on this?
Well, I'll start off by saying there are efforts that are being made and improvements to the tools that we have available to us to identify those precursors that are coming in. We are working with Health Canada in terms of updating the regulations, allowing us to have the ability to actually seize those precursors on entry. We're also working closely with our law enforcement partners because we are aware of the manufacturing that's happening domestically, and our intent is to try and figure out how it's getting out of Canada and seizing them on export. So we do have export authorities to seize and arrest individuals involved in moving contraband illegally out of Canada as well.
Non-permanent resident, if they are charged and convicted, should they be deported? This question was put to the politician, to our immigration minister, honorable immigration minister, and again the answer was it's all up to the CBSA. So what is the CVS stand on this?
Yes, so our legislation, the Immigration Refugee Protection Act, does require any foreign national, so that's that non-permanent resident you're referring to, if they're convicted of a serious offense in Canada, they will be deported and removed from Canada.
Whether they are being deported from last few years or they are not, because many of them were...
Yeah, so there is a legal process that goes through with any individual that has a removal order issued against them. They have the rights to appeal in certain circumstances, but our objective is to remove those individuals from Canada, and we've been doing so. So we've increased our number of removals. I think we were at about 18,000 last year, and we have an increased goal for the next 2 years as well. So we do remove inadmissible foreign nationals from Canada.
We have Sergeant Kalo from Toronto Police Services. So he has worked a lot on the issue of illicit substances on Canadian streets, Canadian markets. We will ask him the data. Officer, what data you want to share with us? How serious is the issue of fentanyl and illicit substances?
First of all, good morning to you, and very kind of you that you are covering this particular topic. It is important, and it is important for the community as Canadians. As far as you have asked me how bad is the crisis, if you look at different organizations have termed this as an epidemic. And I'll term it as two kinds of epidemics. One which started in Vancouver a couple of years back and slowly trickled down and reached Ontario too. Epidemic, it is epidemic because the numbers that we see as far as overdose deaths are concerned in the last couple of years is through the roof. So if we talk about all over Canada and we are talking about overdose deaths, it's approximately 200 deaths per day.
200 deaths per day.
And
it's a shocking data.
Yeah, and this is a data which comes from government organizations. And whatever data we are talking about, it is all available in the public domain on the internet. And you can go and check this data, 200 per day. Now, when we come down to Ontario, in 2018, if you look at, it was around 110, 115. And it has moved on, and I'm talking about a month. Ontario, 110 in 2018. But by the time we reached 2020, this data almost doubled, and it came to 226.
Okay.
If we talk about Ontario per day, 2018, it was 4 deaths per day. If you talk about today, it is 7 deaths per day.
7 deaths per day.
Per day.
In Ontario.
Yes, in Ontario.
But in Canada, it's 200 deaths per day.
Per day, yeah.
And what are the reasons of deaths, these deaths? What kind of illicit substances these people are taking and dying?
Well, if we talk about, I'll categorize into 2 phases, and I'll start from, it goes way back, but I will start from 2015. So 2015 and 2020 is phase 3 of this crisis. So starting from 15 to 20, it basically opioids, which is can be in normal language, we can say it is basically painkillers. So it's prescribed by doctors. It's only available in prescription. But even Tylenol has some quantity of opioids. So it started in 15 to 2000. It was basically fentanyl got introduced. It came to Ontario, and it started getting mixed. Now the last phase, which we call the phase 4 of this crisis, that started in 2020, and it is still today. What happened in between was COVID, and mental health fell down, and that's where this crisis became even grave. Now, fentanyl, it's a cheap drug, no smell, easily you can mix it. It's got no taste. So on the street, it is being mixed into different other kind of drugs. And that's where people think that they're consuming a particular drug that they bought off the street, but actually it is fentanyl. And fentanyl is the one which has basically got into this crisis situation that we are today.
We have seen that opium is also easily available on the retailers and on the streets. So does our law enforcement knows about this?
So when you're talking about opium, I think you're addressing the South Asian
yes,
community.
Afim, which is called Afim, which is the opium. Raw opium is available on these retail shops too.
So opium, again, it is under the CDSA. It is definitely a drug, okay? When I say it is a drug, I'm talking about criminal. It is in that particular catalog of drugs. okay, where people get charged criminally. It is available. It is available like any other drugs on the street. It has got, not that it is available and law enforcement is not looking into it. Definitely law enforcement look. If somebody is caught with that particular drug, they are charged with the same charges with any other.
But how come our retailers are selling this openly?
So when you're talking about the retailers, I am not aware of retailers. Okay. This is a general knowledge which is available to public, and I'm pretty sure it would be probably true what you're saying. If that is so, and I'm guessing you're talking about Peel region, not that I'm eliminating the other parts of GTA, but for sure, if that is what is happening, it should be brought to the notice of Peel police or whatever the police services.
Yes, it's happening across Canada by the retail shops and South Asian community, and they are the big consumers. We see the people in trucking industry, we see the people in construction industry. They are consuming it across Canada. So if I say like these labs, what kind of material is mixed with this opium? From where this is coming into Canada, or it is made locally here in Canada, or coming from?
So it's a very good question. 2023, in a forum, once I finished everything, a couple of people who walked up to me and asked the same question. And the question was, is what you say opium, afim, is opium safe? Is afim safe? And I said, well, your drug dealer, does he have a quality control office? And the answer was no. I said, pretty much. He will mix anything which gives you a kick, anything which you get addicted to, and he will sell it. So if there is no certification given by him, which is from a trusted lab, fentanyl is getting mixed into opium too. And you have the same risks of consuming opium or any other drug mixed with fentanyl, which other drugs have. So I think, you know, even if you're talking about opium today would be mixed with fentanyl, there is no guarantee.
That's more harmful?
You will die.
Okay.
If you will die, it is just a matter of day. The day that you were waiting for your day, a bad day, and you will die. It is, there's no question, you will get overdosed.
South Asian community, our youth, why they are consuming these drugs so heavily? When they come from India, is this culturally they are doing it, or?
So you can't really pin down a particular community for having more consumption or starting a consumption. But since you and me both belong to that particular culture, we know our background, that in our background there are a couple of other things which is intoxicants, especially alcohol, is very acceptable in our community. So if you look at our province where we came from, Punjab in India, all these drugs are very much available there. So whatever is available there and people are used to, when they travel, that habit travels with them. And once that travels, it's basically demand which is traveling. And as far as drug trade is concerned, if you go into the background of drug trade for hundreds of years, wherever there is a demand, the supply automatically will find its way. And that's what is happening with us. The community grew. We came with these kind of addictions from back home because that was readily available there. And same is prevailing here. Supply has found its demand.
So can you share some cost data also with us?
When you're talking about cost data, so 2017, we as Canada was spending approximately $46 billion per year on everything concerned with addiction. And this is alcohol, tobacco, vaping, other opioid addictions, all of that. Now from 17, when we come to 20, this particular number became 49 billion. If we talk about today, this has not been published, but you can definitely find in public domain, it is around 51 billion. That's the amount of money that the government spends on everything related to addiction.
Okay. So since you are in Toronto Police Services, how serious is this crisis in the city of Toronto of the addiction? How many calls you attend per day, and how serious is this? You see people dying by this addiction and these illicit substances on the street?
So as far as numbers and data is concerned, we will stick to the data which is the Canadian data.
Canadian data.
We are part of that. It is a crisis. It has, in the city of Toronto, It was declared a crisis, same as Vancouver. As far as overdosing is concerned, yes, we, the officers, every day respond to multiple overdoses call. So that is, I'm talking about just the division that I work in.
Yes.
So overall Toronto, definitely it's a high number. And if I have to give you a comparison, the comparison would be in the last couple of years. In the last couple of years, this particular calls, the overdose calls, definitely have gone up higher through the roof.
Okay, we understand that these fentanyl or other drugs are coming across the borders from other China or Mexico. But do we have labs here in Canada also? Because one lab was caught in BC.
Yeah, talking about the labs in BC, yes. That was the first time that probably we as Canadians discovered that yes, there is some kind of manufacturing which happened, which is again in public domain. And this is not the first time. This was, I think, the second time. The first time was a couple of months before that. So it is definitely being manufactured. How much? I won't be able to kind of quote on that.
But was that the biggest lab in North America?
I guess it was definitely in Canada and probably maybe in North America too.
So being in law enforcement, you think that we should focus more the law enforcement and like we should have more resources to shut down these kind of operations in Canada?
Definitely. Whenever law enforcement gets these kind of, investigations proceed, they are shut down. So I'm quite sure that the ones in BC, they are shut down. As far as law enforcement is concerned, for hundreds of years, law enforcement has been chasing this particular supply side of, drugs. What I feel is that probably if there is some work to be done, that is on the demand side. Demand side is in the public forum. In the community, there's a lot of work
education, counseling, and all those things.
Yeah. So as far as law enforcement, thousands of millions of dollars which are spent chasing these guys. I think that if supposedly we start working on the demand side, and on the demand side we somehow curtail that down, that will choke the supply side, or it will reduce the supply side at least. Less of overdosing.
Okay. What message you want to give in the end to the public? Because we say one life lost is too many. But here the data, as you suggested, as the government side says, 200 deaths per day across Canada. Even in war, we don't lose our soldiers 200 per day. It's a very big crisis then as per us.
Yeah, it is. The message for the public is that get out into the community, talk about it. If you can contribute and change one life by information, or get in touch with people who have the information, organize seminars, forums, go to schools, educate your kids at home, make it public as much as possible, make the overdosing public, make fentanyl known to everybody, make the information as much as possible accessible to people that these are the consequences. Once we start working on that education part of it, I'm pretty sure there'll be an impact on the supply part of it.
Okay. The purpose of this report is mainly to bring the awareness. Drug ਦਾ issue ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ issue ਹੈ ਸਾਡੀ society ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ. fentanyl ਅਗਰ overdose ਲਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਏ ਤੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਨਲੇਵਾ ਹੈ, ਬਹੁਤ dangerous ਹੈ. ਜਿਹੜੀ fentanyl drug ਹੈ, fentanyl is a very dangerous drug. और import भी हो रही है, local labs से भी बन रही है, काफ़ी सवाल ਇਹਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ है. So let's see what our administration or our police forces, law enforcement forces, what actions they take after this report. So purpose of this report is to bring the awareness.
This is raw opium.
Opioid, fentanyl, opium, afim, they are selling openly onto the Canadian streets in the Canadian markets. We will go inside some of the outlets, what they are doing, what kind of business they are operating,